This video is inspired by a super fun comment I got on my first Trans Out motocamping video. Commenter was very upset that I was camping in a campground. Man, they're gonna be real pissed when they see where I'm camping right now. We've tackled this topic before from the riding perspective in my Don't Be a Dick video, which I'll link for you, but I guess it bears mentioning again in the world of camping. There is no wrong way to go camping, and anyone who tries to tell you otherwise is probably a gatekeeping douche projecting their own massive insecurities onto you. It doesn't matter if you camp on a snowy mountaintop with a tarp and a sharp stick, or if you roll up to a campground in a Nickelback tour bus. The point is to get out and enjoy the outdoors in a way that makes sense to you. Case in point, this yurt. Is it real camping? Well, I had a campfire last night. I'm in a campground. I sat outside and enjoyed the weather, such as it was, for the evening. You know, it's not insulated, it is heated, but I dealt with the cold. I slept in a sleeping bag. But, technically, there was a structure and a roof over my head and electric heat if I had wanted to turn it on. So does that in some way diminish the experience? That is entirely up to the person having the experience. If you feel like this isn't real camping, then don't do it. But that doesn't mean that you get to tell other people who haven't done the things that you've done, who haven't experienced the outdoors in the way that you have, that it isn't real camping just because it doesn't live up to your personal standards. Everybody starts somewhere, and one of the biggest problems I think I see in this community, in the motorcycling outdoors community, is people forget what it was like to be new, because a lot of people in this community started riding when they were 5 years old or whatever, or started camping, you know, when they were kids, and so they don't remember what it's like to be nervous, unsure, afraid, and so they just assume everyone is like that, and so things that wouldn't make them nervous, they don't even consider that someone else might be nervous about sleeping in the woods in the middle of nowhere by themselves for the first time. The real question is, when it comes to these judgment statements about what's real and what isn't, is who cares? Like, I have nothing to prove. There's ample evidence on this channel of all the different types of camping that I've done. I like to be comfortable, you guys know that, but it's not like I haven't camped in the middle of the woods and done all this other stuff. It doesn't matter. That doesn't make me feel like this type of camping is in any way less cool or less real. It's all fun. It's all about how I like to enjoy the outdoors, and you should experience the outdoors in the way that makes sense to you, and don't let other people discourage you. These comments come up every time I camp in a campground, as if somehow it doesn't count. And I just, again, wonder, why are you watching the video if you hate that content so much? I don't understand it, but that's neither here nor there. This isn't about me, it's about you, and I don't want you to let people discourage you from going out and enjoying the outdoors in the way that makes sense to you. As an example, why am I in this campground right now? Well, because it's late fall, it gets dark at 4:30 in the afternoon, and when you need a fire to stay warm when you're outside, you need a lot of firewood, particularly when it gets dark that early, and I just didn't want to spend 2 hours gathering firewood to stay warm and not hate my experience. I've never understood the whole suffering makes it better. This used to come up all the time on my videos where I would put my dual sport in the back of my truck, drive it up to the woods, unload it, and then ride it in the woods, and people would be like, well, that doesn't count. And I'd be like, well, I'm riding in the woods, isn't that the point? But somewhere along the way we got this idea in our heads that suffering makes it better. Suffering enhances the experience. Suffering is somehow necessary, right? That makes it real and better. And, you know, for those of you who enjoy that, great, but not everybody does. So I looked it up. This is actually called the contrast effect. People perceive things as more valuable when they're juxtaposed with a negative state. An example, an average riding day, so if you just get out and do some normal stuff, is perceived as more valuable when compared to the discomfort on the ride there, like I'm talking about. Or a miserable night's sleep on the ground is an epic trip because you had to suffer to achieve it. This is also known as type 2 fun, which is fun on its own way, but especially when you're first starting out, you're not looking for that. And I am rarely looking for it now when I've done these things a few times. So back to our friendly commenters and people that might disparage you. They worked hard to call themselves real campers, and it offends their delicate sensibilities when someone calls a less intense adventure by the same name. They feel like it diminishes their self-perceived accomplishments and hardcoreness. This is classic projection. This isn't everyone though. Like all things, you mostly hear these comments from a very vocal minority. Go to a motorcycle camping rally, go to a rally like Touratech, Giant Loop. You will be surrounded with incredibly helpful, friendly people who who are more than willing to answer your questions, to share their food and drink with you, and really just not judge you for being on a different level than they are, because we all start somewhere. Some of us remember that, some don't, and don't let those who don't discourage you, okay? There's no such thing as real camping. Real camping is the camping that you go do. That makes sense to you. Most of the actual so-called hardcore adventurers, like world travelers and those who live off their bikes, are not like that. It's mostly keyboard warriors in the comments, many of whom also have Facebook Marketplace listings for low mileage late model 450s and 500s fully modded out for $2,000 over retail because they know what they've got. Maybe you'll work your way up to those epic backcountry adventures someday, but don't get it in your head that that's the only way to go camping and that it's not worth bothering if you're not going to do that. It's the same problem we run into with adventure and dual sport marketing. It's all Poltares jumping a T7 over a canyon and never two middle-aged people just putting around the woods enjoying the scenery on TW200s. But which one do you think happens more often? So please get out there and have adventures at your own pace. If you're not feeling sleeping on the ground just yet, these yurts or a cabin setup are a great way to dip your toes into the world of camping without the anxiety of being uncomfortable all night. If you're cool with a tent but don't want to worry about firewood gathering, or are just uncomfortable being alone in the woods, which I still feel every time I go out, then there is absolutely nothing wrong with a campground. If you're cool with camping but don't dig the idea of eating bag meals, there's nothing wrong with going to a restaurant for dinner. I ate at a local brewery last night myself. The point is, adventure means something different to each individual person. It's okay if your version isn't hardcore. If it feels like camping to you, it is. Period. Get out there and have adventures of your own. You can do it. I believe in you. Push outside your comfort zone. See what lies beyond. Everyone starts somewhere, and that cozy camping trip you're planning might just be the first step on a journey that leads you to being the person sleeping on top of a mountain with a tarp and a sharp stick. Never know until you take that first step. Have fun out there. I think I'll stick to my cozy yurt for now. It's freaking cold out here. Thank you for watching, and please do not forget to be excellent to each other and to Coast Guard helicopters. Hi, Carl. Hi, Carl. Bye, Carl.